There is a strange feeling that many people carry but rarely talk about. You treat someone with kindness, patience, and honesty, yet something feels off. Their tone changes, their energy shifts. There is distance where warmth should be, and no clear reason for it. It is confusing, it is quiet, but it is real. Sometimes, the more genuine you are, the more uncomfortable others seem to become around you. That tension is not random. It comes from a deeper place that most people do not understand. Some people move through life with a different kind of awareness. These are empaths. They feel deeply, they care deeply, they notice the small changes in energy, in words, in silence. They listen when others speak, they give when others hold back. They show up when things get heavy. That is why people are naturally drawn to them. In difficult moments, they become a safe space, a calm presence, a quiet strength that others lean on without even thinking. But there is another side to this gift that rarely gets discussed. The same light that attracts people can also create discomfort. The same warmth that pulls people closer can quietly push others away. Some people admire it, some people depend on it, and some people begin to resent it. That resentment is not loud. It hides behind small behaviors. A cold response, a sudden distance, a subtle shift that leaves you questioning yourself. In this video, you will understand why this happens. You will learn the hidden reasons empaths attract people who feel uneasy around their presence. You will see how your natural way of being can reflect things others try to ignore within themselves. You will also learn how to recognize these patterns early, protect your energy, and stop carrying confusion that does not belong to you. There are truths here that many people discover too late, and once you see them, the way you look at your relationships will change. Stay with this video until the end, because each part will connect in a way that brings clarity to experiences that once felt unexplainable. And that clarity can change how you protect your peace moving forward. Welcome to our channel. If this kind of content speaks to you, and you want to understand yourself and others on a deeper level, make sure to subscribe and stay connected for more. Empaths do not only attract warmth, connection, and appreciation, they also draw in something far more complex and often invisible at first glance: hidden resentment. It does not show up openly. It does not announce itself in clear words. Instead, it moves quietly beneath the surface, shaping the way people respond, the way they look, the way they pull back without explanation. This creates a confusing experience where kindness is met with distance and sincerity is answered with subtle tension. This raises a question that feels uncomfortable to even consider. Why would someone resent kindness? On the surface, kindness is something everyone claims to value. It is praised, encouraged, and seen as a positive trait. Yet in real interactions, it can trigger reactions that do not match that belief. A warm presence can make someone uneasy. Genuine care can feel overwhelming to someone who is not used to it. The very qualities that should build connection can begin to create emotional resistance. Part of this comes from the way empaths naturally operate. They do not interact on a shallow level. They notice what is unsaid. They feel shifts in energy. They respond with honesty and depth, even in small moments. This level of awareness can act like a mirror, and for some people, that mirror reflects things they would rather avoid: insecurities, doubts, emotional gaps. It is not something the empath actively tries to reveal, yet it happens through presence alone. As this dynamic develops, the other person may not fully understand their own reaction. They might feel exposed without knowing why. They might feel smaller in comparison, even when no comparison was made. This creates an internal discomfort that slowly turns into resistance. Instead of recognizing the source of that feeling, it gets redirected outward. The empath becomes the focus of that tension. The answer sits beneath the surface, in layers that are easy to miss during everyday interactions. It is tied to how people see themselves, how they handle vulnerability, and how they respond to emotional depth. Kindness, in its pure form, can challenge those who are not ready to face it. And that challenge does not always lead to growth. Sometimes, it leads to quiet resentment. that changes the entire dynamic without a single word being said. There is something powerful about being genuine in a world where many people hide behind layers. When you speak honestly, when your actions match your words, when your energy stays consistent, it creates a quiet contrast that others can feel immediately. You are not trying to prove anything. You are simply being real. But that kind of presence can be uncomfortable for someone who is used to pretending, adjusting, or wearing a mask to fit in. When you are genuine, people who are not living that way can start to feel exposed without you saying a single word. It is not because you are pointing out their flaws or calling them out directly. It happens naturally. Your openness highlights the difference between truth and performance. Your calm confidence makes their insecurity more noticeable to themselves, and that internal awareness can feel heavy, especially for someone who has spent a long time avoiding it. Your honesty has a way of reminding people of who they are not. It brings attention to the gap between how they present themselves and how they truly feel inside. For some, that can be inspiring. It can push them to grow, to become more aligned, to face things they have been avoiding. But for others, it creates resistance. It feels easier to pull away from the source of that discomfort than to face it directly. That is where silent tension begins to build. You do not attack them. You do not judge them. In many cases, you are simply existing in your natural state, offering the same kindness and understanding you give to everyone, yet your presence feels like a mirror they did not ask to look into, and mirrors do not soften reality. They reflect it as it is. That reflection can bring out emotions people are not ready to handle. Instead of recognizing this internal struggle, some people shift their focus outward. They begin to associate that uncomfortable feeling with you. The distance grows slowly. The energy changes in subtle ways. Small reactions replace genuine connection, and even though nothing direct has been said, something unspoken begins to shape the relationship, driven by a discomfort that started within them but now sits between both of you. Empaths have a natural way of giving that feels effortless to them. They offer their time, their attention, their understanding without constantly measuring what they will receive in return. It is not something they calculate. It comes from how they are wired. They listen when others speak. They show up when things get difficult. They care in a way that feels steady and real. To them, this is normal. It is simply how they connect with the world. But not everyone operates from that same place. For many people, giving comes with conditions, expectations, or limits that are carefully managed. They may give, but they keep track. They may care, but only to a certain point. So when they encounter someone who gives freely without hesitation, it creates a contrast that feels hard to ignore. It is not just about the action of giving, it is about the intention behind it, the ease, the lack of resistance. That difference can stir something deeper inside them. Some people begin to question themselves. They notice the gap between how they give and how you give, and that awareness can feel uncomfortable. It can bring a sense of inadequacy, as if they are falling short in a way they did not expect to face. Being around someone who gives so naturally can make them feel smaller, even when no judgment has been made. In moments like this, there is an opportunity for growth. They could reflect, adjust, and try to become more open, more generous, more aligned with what they see. But growth requires honesty, and honesty can be difficult. It asks them to confront parts of themselves they may have ignored for a long time. Instead of moving in that direction, some people choose a different path. That discomfort slowly shifts into something else. The admiration they may have felt at the beginning starts to change. The warmth becomes mixed with tension. They begin to question your intentions, doubt your sincerity, or create small narratives to make sense of their feelings. And instead of allowing your way of giving to inspire them, they begin to resent it. There are people who come into your life and feel an instant sense of relief around you. Conversations with you feel lighter. Their stress seems to soften. Their emotions settle in a way they cannot fully explain. This is the effect of your energy. It is calm, steady, and grounding. For an empath, this happens naturally. You do not force it. You do not even always notice it. But others do, especially when they are going through something difficult. Some of these people stay close because of that feeling. They reach out when they are overwhelmed. They open up when they feel broken. They rely on your presence to make sense of their thoughts and emotions. Over time, a pattern forms. You become the person they turn to when things fall apart. The one who listens, who understands, who helps them feel whole again, even if only for a moment. On the surface, this can look like connection. It can feel like closeness, but beneath that, something more complicated begins to grow. Because needing someone on that level can create a quiet discomfort. It reminds them that they cannot regulate themselves the same way. It highlights a dependence they may not want to admit, even to themselves, and that feeling can slowly turn into frustration. They might not express it directly. Instead, it shows up in subtle ways. A shift in tone, a slight distance after moments of vulnerability, an inconsistency in how they treat you. It is as if they are pulled toward you when they need support, but push away once they regain their balance. This cycle repeats, creating confusion that is hard to put into words. Deep inside, they begin to resent the fact that they rely on you. It challenges their sense of independence. It makes them feel exposed in a way that is difficult to process. Rather than addressing that feeling, it gets buried, and as it stays buried, it changes form. That silent discomfort starts to carry weight. It grows into something sharper, something colder. And that silent hate turns into resentment. There comes a point where something begins to shift within you. It is quiet at first. You start noticing how much you give, how often you show up, how easily you put others before yourself. And slowly, you begin to change. You pause before saying yes. You take time for yourself. You choose when to engage instead of always being available. The moment you change, everything around you starts to feel different. People who were once comfortable with your constant presence begin to react in ways you did not expect. The same individuals who appreciated your support may now seem distant, confused, or even irritated. It is not always direct. Sometimes it comes through small comments, subtle guilt, or a shift in how they treat you. The energy is no longer as smooth as it once was, and it creates a tension that was not there before. This happens because they were used to a version of you that had fewer limits. They had access to your time, your attention, your emotional support whenever they needed it. There was a sense of ease in that dynamic for them. They did not have to question it. They did not have to adjust. Your presence felt constant, almost guaranteed. And when that changes, it disrupts the balance they had grown comfortable with. From their perspective, your new boundaries can feel confusing. They may not understand why things are different. They might interpret your distance as a loss of connection rather than a step toward self-respect. The space you create for yourself feels unfamiliar to them, and unfamiliar things can feel uncomfortable. Instead of seeing your growth as something healthy, they begin to see it as something personal. Your growth starts to feel like rejection to them. Even though your intention is to protect your energy and create balance, they experience it as withdrawal. The same boundaries that bring you peace can trigger insecurity in others, and that reaction slowly shapes the way they respond to you, turning what was once easy into something strained, all because the dynamic no longer revolves around unlimited access. You might have felt this in ways that are hard to explain to anyone else. Moments where everything seemed fine, where your intentions were pure, where you showed nothing but patience and understanding, and yet something shifted without warning. The energy changed, the connection felt weaker, people started pulling away, and there was no clear reason for it. No argument, no conflict, just a quiet distance that slowly replaced what once felt easy and natural. It can feel confusing when someone responds with cold behavior after you stayed kind. You replay conversations in your mind, searching for something you might have said or done wrong. You look for small details, trying to understand where things changed. But the more you think about it, the less sense it makes, because from your side, nothing harmful happened. You showed up with honesty. You gave without holding back. You stayed consistent. That kind of experience can make you question yourself in ways that go deeper than the situation. It can make you wonder if your kindness is too much, if your presence is overwhelming, if being genuine somehow pushes people away. Those thoughts can sit quietly in your mind, shaping how you see yourself and how you interact with others moving forward. You may start holding back, becoming more careful, trying to protect yourself from that same confusion happening again. But there is something important to understand in all of this. The way people respond is not always a reflection of what you did. Sometimes it reflects what they are dealing with internally. The distance you feel, the sudden change in their behavior, the lack of warmth after you gave your best, all of it can come from places that have nothing to do with your intentions. You are not the problem in the way you might think. Your kindness, your depth, your ability to care, these are not flaws that need to be reduced or hidden. Yet the feeling of being treated differently can still stay with you, creating a quiet weight that follows you into other connections, making it harder to trust what feels natural to you. There is a point where understanding begins to shift in a quiet but powerful way. You start to see that your energy is not something small or ordinary. It has value, it has depth, it affects people in ways that go beyond simple interaction. And with that realization comes a truth that can feel uncomfortable at first. Not everyone deserves access to that part of you. Not everyone knows how to hold it, respect it, or return it in a healthy way. For a long time, it may have felt natural to give without thinking twice, to be open, to be available, to show up fully for others without questioning their intentions. That openness comes from a genuine place. It reflects how you see the world and how you believe connection should feel. But over time, patterns begin to form. You notice who only reaches out when they need something, who stays close during certain moments but fades when things become balanced again, who takes more than they give without even realizing it. Your light is not something that everyone will understand. Some people will feel it and appreciate it. They will meet it with the same level of honesty and care, but others will feel it in a different way. It may confuse them, it may challenge them, it may even make them uncomfortable without a clear reason. That difference in response is not always visible at the beginning. It reveals itself slowly through repeated interactions and subtle changes in behavior. There are also people who come close to you for reasons that are not always clear on the surface. They are drawn to the way you make them feel, to the calm, the support, the sense of being understood. But that connection is not always balanced. They take what they need in the moment. They absorb your energy, your attention, your presence, and once they feel better, something shifts again. This creates a cycle where you are giving from a genuine place while the other person is receiving without the same awareness. It does not always come from bad intentions. Sometimes it comes from habit, from emotional patterns, from a lack of understanding, but the effect remains the same. Your energy is being used in a way that leaves you questioning why certain connections feel draining instead of fulfilling. There comes a moment where a different approach begins to take shape, not through force, but through awareness. You start to realize that constant explaining does not always lead to understanding. Not everyone is listening to understand you. Some are only listening to respond, to defend, or to keep the dynamic the same. So you begin to step back from that habit. You allow your actions to speak more than long explanations. You let your silence hold meaning instead of filling every gap with words. At the same time, boundaries begin to form in a quieter, more grounded way. They are not loud or aggressive. They do not come with long justifications. They show up in small decisions, saying no when something feels off, taking space without guilt, choosing when to engage and when to step away. These boundaries may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you are used to always being available, but over time they start to feel natural, like a necessary part of maintaining balance. As this shift continues, your relationship with your own energy begins to change. You start treating it as something valuable instead of something unlimited. You notice how certain interactions leave you feeling calm, while others leave you feeling drained. That awareness becomes a guide. You begin protecting your energy in ways that do not require approval from others. It becomes less about how people react and more about how you feel afterward. This naturally leads to a change in the people you keep close. You start choosing connections that feel steady, where you do not have to overextend yourself to maintain them. You gravitate toward those who respect your space, who listen without taking, who bring a sense of ease rather than pressure. The difference becomes clearer with time. Safe connections feel light, even in difficult moments. Draining ones carry a weight that lingers long after the interaction ends. Through all of this, your focus slowly shifts inward. Your choices begin to reflect a deeper understanding of what supports you and what takes away from you. And that awareness continues to shape the way you move, the way you connect, and the way you allow others into your space. There is a quiet clarity that begins to settle once you start seeing these patterns for what they are. The confusion starts to fade, the overthinking becomes less intense, and the need to make sense of every reaction slowly loses its grip. You begin to understand that your presence, your depth, and your way of caring were never the issue. They simply revealed things in others that were already there. Some people will feel challenged by your light. Others will feel comforted by it, and a few will truly value it in a way that feels natural and balanced. The difference becomes clear over time, through actions, through consistency, through the way they respond when you stop overextending yourself. That is where the truth always shows itself. The right people will never resent your light. They will not feel threatened by your growth or uncomfortable with your honesty. They will grow because of it. They will meet you with the same openness, the same respect, the same depth that you bring into their lives. There will be no need to shrink, no need to explain, no need to question your worth in their presence. So the question is, are you dimming your light for the wrong people? If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content that helps you understand yourself and your connections on a deeper level.